Imagine a massive fortress bracing for an invasion. They're rapidly building up these huge walls to protect themselves, completely unaware that the invaders are already inside, quietly mapping out every single hallway. Well, welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into a really wild modern industrial mystery that is playing out across Europe right this very second. The European Union is aggressively slapping tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, supposedly to protect its legendary century-old automakers. And at first glance, it sounds like classic trade protectionism, right? But the reality, when you actually look at the data, is far darker and honestly, way more complex. So let's just jump right into this massive contradiction, because this is the hook that kind of unravels the whole story. If these sweeping new tariffs, which go up to like 38%, are designed specifically to shield giants like Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, and BMW from cheap imports, why on earth are their own CEOs publicly begging the EU to stop? Ola Kalanis, the CEO of Mercedes-Benz, has literally been leading the charge against these tariffs. He's traveling to China, treating them as a partner, not an adversary. It's a staggering case of cognitive dissonance. To understand why the supposed victims are protecting the very people disrupting them, we really have to look at the sheer gravity of what's on the table. Section 1. The stakes. Jobs versus disruption. We really aren't just talking about a couple of car factories closing down here. We're talking about the economic pulse of an entire continent. Just look at this number, 13.8 million. As of 2025, that is how many people the European automotive industry employs. Germany alone holds over 700,000 of those jobs. This sector isn't just a business, it's the absolute economic backbone of the region. It's literally the foundation that built the middle class in Central Europe. But that foundation is cracking, and fast. In 2025 alone, the German auto sector saw over 51,000 jobs just wiped out. That is roughly 7% of their entire automotive workforce evaporating in a single year. It's an economic earthquake, and when you start looking for the epicenter of all this disruption, it leads directly to a very specific, unassuming little car. Meet the catalyst driving the chaos, the BYD Dolphin. It's a plug-in hybrid priced anywhere between $26,000 and $28,000. It is hyper-affordable, super efficient, and laser-targeted at the everyday driver, which, by the way, is the exact demographic that legacy German brands built their massive empires on. The Dolphin isn't just cheap, it's aggressively disruptive. So, if this car is destroying European market share, we go back to our central mystery. Why aren't German automakers fighting back? Section 2. The profit trap. There's a hidden financial reality here that explains exactly why Europe's most powerful companies are essentially paralyzed. It all comes down to this really stark breakdown. While German legacy brands are losing ground at home, they traditionally pull in over 30% of their total global profits from the Chinese market. Western luxury cars are still highly coveted status symbols over there among China's upper class. These legacy companies are so deeply economically entangled with their overseas competitors that a traditional trade war wouldn't just hurt them, it would financially gut them. This quote from financial analysts pretty much hits the nail on the head. If China sneezes, the entire German DAX index catches a cold. Companies like Volkswagen and BMW are effectively held hostage by their own profits. China is simultaneously their most ruthless competitor and their absolute most vital partner. But even knowing that, you've got to wonder, how on earth are Chinese EVs maintaining such a massive price advantage without just going totally bankrupt? Section 3, the vertical advantage and zombie brands. Let's look at how this economic trap translates into an undeniable on-the-ground logistical advantage. According to analysis from UBS Investment Bank, Chinese EVs enjoy a staggering 25% cost advantage. And it's not some temporary accounting trick, it's entirely structural. Legacy automakers basically operate on a Lego assembly model. They outsource about 70% of their parts from all over the globe and then just assemble them. BYD plays a completely different game. They manufacture roughly 75% of their components totally in-house. It's the equivalent of buying a Lego set, but you also happen to own the entire Lego factory. So no import fees, no massive transport markups, just pure efficiency. And this timeline reveals exactly why they operate that way. BYD's founder, Wang Shanfu, didn't actually start an auto company. He started a mobile phone battery company back in 1995. They didn't even enter the auto market until 2003. By 2008, they secured a massive $230 million investment from Warren Buffett, and they just exploded from there. You see, BYD doesn't have the DNA of a century-old carmaker. They have the fast-paced, highly integrated, iterative DNA of a consumer tech company. So how are they dodging those heavy European tariffs? Through a really stealthy logistical strategy. Step 1. Buy up unused, dormant European manufacturing plants. Step 2. Acquire familiar, defunct European car names, what the industry calls zombie brands, like the classic Italian names used by DR automobiles. Step 3. Reskin their Chinese tech and assemble them right there on the European mainland. To the average buyer walking by, it just looks like a local car. It's absolutely brilliant, and it completely sidesteps the tariff walls. Section 4. The software paradigm shift. Now, everything we've discussed so far is just metal and logistics, but the real battlefield, it isn't a traditional manufacturing war at all. Think about Volkswagen's popular ID.4. It's pretty notorious for having clunky software. If there's a major glitch, legacy vehicles often require you to physically drive down to a dealership just to patch it. It's kind of like waiting for a letter in the mail. Contrast that with ChineseEVs, because they were built by tech companies that use instant, over-the-air, smartphone-style patches. You go to sleep, you wake up, and your car has simply updated itself. This is what experts are calling software-defined vehicles. The physical metal body of the car, that's totally secondary now. These vehicles are built entirely around AI, software, and connectivity right from day one. In this new model, the multi-billion-dollar physical factory isn't the heart of the company anymore. It's literally just a final assembly point for a roaming tech ecosystem. And these century-old automakers, they're being dragged kicking and screaming into this new reality. And if you want to see just how extreme this hardware gets, look at the Xiaomi SU7 Max. The specs on this thing are jaw-dropping. We aren't just talking about a nice little touchscreen on the dashboard. We are looking at a 128-line LiDAR system pulsing lasers to map the environment, 11 high-definition cameras, and dual NVIDIA Drive Orin chips that are capable of 508 trillion operations per second. Okay, let me put that processing speed into perspective because it reveals the sheer scale of the tech we're dealing with. One civilian Xiaomi commuter car, a car you use to go buy groceries, has more processing power inside it than the guidance computers of 500 Tomahawk missiles combined. No way, right? Let that sink in for a second. This isn't a car. It is an advanced sensing network disguised as a sedan. Section 5. The Data Proxy War. Now, I want to slow down for a second here because the cybersecurity implications of this shift the entire narrative from a simple economic dispute into something far, far more alarming. Because these aren't just cars anymore. They are essentially mobile data centers. Every single second they drive on European streets, they are gathering real-time GPS, engine telemetry, and using that military-grade LiDAR to create precision 3D maps of the environment. They are constantly generating vast, highly detailed schematics of European infrastructure, grid layouts, and civilian movement patterns. Which forces us to ask the most alarming question in this entire explainer. Is this map data staying inside the car, or is it going somewhere else? Cybersecurity experts are pointing out that while these cars are super insulated against outside hackers, President Xi has actively tightened state control over China's strategic industries. So there is deep concern that this vast telemetry data is flowing directly back to corporate servers that are heavily intertwined with the foreign state. So what does this all mean? The crucial takeaway is this. Europe is panicking about losing its manufacturing sector, right? So they're imposing tariffs. But they are using a 20th century economic weapon, import taxes on metal and batteries, against a 21st century digital threat. The tariffs completely, and I mean completely, miss the invisible software and data harvesting that is quietly taking over their streets. And this leads us to a really chilling conclusion highlighted perfectly in this quote from the source analysis. While Europe builds walls to keep cars out, a digital Trojan horse may have already come in through the front gate. The next time you see a hypermodern, incredibly cheap EV seamlessly navigating a city street, you really have to ask yourself, are you looking at the future of affordable transport, or are you looking at the most sophisticated data-gathering operation in history? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you in the next one.